Daytime with Aston Avery. Stephen Smith with me. And Stephen, time to introduce our next guest.
Well, Aston, have you ever heard of Reiki and healing and or anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Well, Aston, my next guest is very special. He's a phenomena in the world of healing. He's been described as many as a modern day wizard, and you can take that as you like it. and he's a mentor of chakras, and he's quite an incredible person. It's Simon Hinton. Hi, Simon. How are you?
Good morning, Stephen. Thank you for that lovely welcome. Thank you.
You know, so many people tell
Good morning, Aston.
Good morning, Simon, as well. So Stephen raves about you, I have to say, Simon, and he's right. And in simple terms, what is it you do? Can you explain that to our listeners?
Well, you've asked me a very difficult question because you've asked me to be simple, because I do so many things, but I'll try and keep it simple and give the essence. I help people transform, Aston, physically, mentally, and emotionally. I suppose in a simplistic way is what that is. That has manifold different applications. So it could be business. Very often it's physical health. It could be mental health. It could be emotional health. It could be their financial situation, their relationships. And basically, I run a clinic that helps people do that. And I also do a lot of stuff like the London Reiki School and global retreats all around the globe and clients all around the globe, teaching them the principles of what I've learned about mastery of our own thoughts, feelings, and emotions.
That's really interesting what you just said there. But so I'm a big believer that with healing, you can actually heal yourself with positive thinking. And what can you do for yourself if you can't come to someone like you with your magic hands? What would you do for yourself?
Well, that's a good question. One of the things I teach and one of the key things I share with people is self-empowerment. Yeah. So although people come to me because often they want to kick up the bum or they've got a particular issue or they're stuck, ultimately, it's about giving them the tools to help them transform. So, for example, when people come to me for a few times, Stephen, I do encourage them to say, do a Reiki course, because that's one of the best investments, if not the best investment they'll ever make.
Yeah.
So healing themselves.
Wow.
And also I do a lot of global healing for people that say can't afford to come to see me, or they're in another country and they want some help. We have a magical order and we work globally to distant heal situations, people, etc. So people write to me from all over the world every day asking for assistance. Sometimes they come and see me, and sometimes it's just a case of they receive it, and that's fine because I like helping people.
It's really interesting. I think we should tell the listeners a little bit about Reiki. Would you like to explain what it is to them?
Sure. I mean, basically, we as human beings are receptor transmitter systems. Yeah. So like when we're talking right now, I'm talking with a vibration, you're hearing me, and you're speaking back and I'm hearing you. So in simple terms, that's what we are. We are energy beings that transmit vibrations to each other. With Reiki, it's a specific method to enhance that process in a very special way. Through the hands, so you get activated, and then you can channel energy through the hands, and then that energy positively goes into the recipient or yourself to start to clear their chakras, to start to open up the meridian lines and the light body to help them get better.
So Simon, for people that you say go on a course for it, why do they need to go on a course for it if it's something natural within us?
That's a very good question. So I can give you a little example, Stephen. In the mid-90s, even though at that time I was very much into sort of the esoteric, and I thought I knew a lot about all that stuff then, I went and somebody recommended me to have a Reiki attunement day. And I was like, okay, I'll have a go. So I had the attunement day, and it transformed me because the difference is, it is within us all, but the activation that I got from the teacher catalyzed, triggered, inspired my healing abilities. And that night, I actually went to a party, in South London. I remember it very well. And there was a crazy cat at the party that was like he was on amphetamines. And I touched the cat with my hands, quite innocuously.
Yeah.
And it just went out, and everybody was like, what have you done to the cat? Have you given it a rehypnol? What on earth have you done? And I was like, wow, something has happened to me today. I don't quite know what it is, but suddenly this energy was pouring through me like it had never done in my life. So the activation is key, because it's powers that we have that are latent, and then when they're activated, then they can come through.
Simon, I went to write about it for a magazine when I went on the course. That was my intention. And the first at least hour, I was wetting myself laughing. And there were the angels and all this. Oh, this is going to be a great article and really funny. And I can't wait to write it. And when they were into the chakras and did the first bit with me, I was like, oh my God. And I left the first day and I couldn't possibly write anything funny about it, because it was so so incredible. And I was at a party similar to, a woman came up to me and said to me, have you trained in Reiki? And I went, yes. She says, I can feel it across the room. You need to switch it off right now. And I hadn't actually listened to the switch off button thing, but it is a real power. I can touch animals like yourself, and they calm down. And sometimes I can touch people. I'm not very good with my family members. My sister loves to do it to her, but it's something well worth training at.
So, Simon, I live with autism and so many other things there. But for listeners who know someone with autism or are autistic themselves, how can healing help those living on the autism spectrum here?
Well, thank you, Aston, for that question. I do help people with all sorts of issues. And my feeling about people who have autism or are on that spectrum is they bring a beauty and a diversity to the planet that can actually really help us. So I've got a lot of people who've got Asperger's, so-called autism. I'm a little bit careful about the diagnosis. I understand it can be useful, but it can also limit us if we just have a label.
Yeah.
What I try and do, my friend, is just help people to unwind. And I teach the principles of mastery, which affect everybody in the same way, in the sense that the principles are ubiquitous, Aston. They're the same wherever you go. Principles are, working to take control of our own lives, looking at our issues. And for example, people with Asperger's and autism in particular really benefit from my adrenal unwind process. So at my clinic, I have light therapy that really unwinds people. I place the light therapy on the adrenal glands. And for somebody who perhaps may be somewhat disconnected from the normal emotional responses, they find it very helpful. Just like animals can really help people on the spectrum, sort of connect with their emotions. I just take my time, I listen, and I create a safe space for people. And sometimes people just want to be heard, Often when people come to me, my sessions are often 3 or 4 hours long. People sit down. I want to just create an environment, Aston, where they can just share without judgment their story. And quite often, that's never happened in their life, So people come in and, often they break down, they start crying because they haven't had somewhere where they can just sit down and be listened to.
Yeah.
And so those principles apply. So people come with me often with Asperger's and autism spectrum, and I just do my best just to help cultivate other aspects of them to help them interact, more effectively where they feel they need to or where they want some assistance. There's never any judgment, Aston. It's always just doing our best to enhance people's reality.
Simon, there's been a not very good people in this. We've lost a lot of people. I lost a loved one this year, or last year actually, now it is. I lost a loved one, and of course the pain is intense to that. How does healing, or opposed to therapy, talking therapy, help someone that's going through or still going through an emotional breakdown over losing a loved one?
Well, that's a very good question. And like any trauma or grief, I believe it can be cleared. It's held in the body, invariably, as a cellular imprint. So our bodies hold the grief and suffering. I know this from personal experience. So, in the sort of 90s, I lost a lot of friends from AIDS, for example. It was a very sad time, very, very sad. And, subsequently, as the years roll on, people do go. But I have a different relationship with death now.
Yeah.
I don't view it as the end. I just view it as another station. And when I teach, what I teach people is to practice non-attachment. I know this sounds a little bit woo-woo perhaps, but just to learn not to give your power away. And yes, obviously, if we lose someone, it's a terribly sad experience, but working with the energy field can start to clear the trauma and help people move on more effectively from states of grief and suffering, because people come to me with all sorts of trauma. Sometimes it's abuse, physical, mental, sexual, all sorts of things they come to me for. And just like the trauma of grief, with the light therapy, with the machines and with the hands-on healing, we can start to dissolve and collapse the states of dissonance held within the cells so that people can move on. Because, you know, life is, you know, it is a case of people come, people go. We're all going to go at some stage. And it's trying to help people work with that and get a sense that there is a greater perspective and a greater dimension of experience out there. And the physical is just a temporal one. It doesn't last forever for any of us. So just to learn to deal with that and to work through the trauma does really help people, actually, Stephen, I have to say.
So you hold workshops out in Ibiza, which is one of the popular destinations as far as holiday goers go here, Simon. What does that involve? And also for our listeners, how can you convince people that might think it is cult, as they say there?
Well, that's a very good question. I grew up in a cult, so I know quite a bit about cults. I was a Jehovah's Witness as a child, and I made a mistake, Aston, of throwing the baby out with the bathwater and rejecting spirituality with religion. Now, you know, the cults exist in all sorts of things. Some people think COVID is a cult. You know, people walking around having to have masks outside in the sunshine. Some people believe that's part of a cult. Yeah. What I share with people, Aston, when I do my retreats, and I do them all over the world, is self-empowerment and mastery. So it's principles of energy. I do not want people to follow me, right? I'm just simply a messenger, sharing a life it's been quite fascinating, sharing my experience, sharing the principles and the research that I have to help them make their own decisions. So, for example, with my children, you know, they don't all agree. We often have sort of arguments and sort of little tete-a-tetes, but it's good. That's what I want. I don't want people to follow. And I think with cults, there tends to be a thing where people want to get rescued by the big fat controller, whether that's a man or a woman. You know, that's the sort of nature of cultishness. I don't want that. I just have a laugh with people. I want people to be light, have a laugh, find their own path. And if I can give them a little bit of inspiration, support, and information on the way, so be it. That's what it's about.
I think Aston's been watching too much Netflix.
Okay.
Listen, we just had Katie Keeley on. Katie Keeley on.
Oh, she's lovely. Yeah, she's a great lady.
She does readings down the phone, so she can feel energy through the phone. I mean, there's going to be people like Ricky Gervais and lots of people that say, "What a load of rubbish." Do you think you could do healing down the phone?
Well, I do a lot of distant healing because, as I just returning to what I said originally, we are receptor transmitter systems. Our bodies are electrochemical systems. So it's the way I see it. I say, like, imagine if you were on the planet 400 or 500 years ago and somebody gave you one of these, an iPhone, and you were able to speak to somebody. They'd think you were a witch. They'd think you were, you know, some crazy, like, supernatural being. But now we've come to the conclusion that we can speak on these. And what are these? Well, they're receptor transmitter systems, the same as our own light bodies. So what I teach people and what I've learned is to refine our abilities to keep ourselves clear when the third eye is open, when the light body is clear, when we have good food and good positive thinking and nutrition, and we get activated to Reiki and other things, we become better at it. And I can transmit healing right across the planet very effectively. I know this because I get thousands of people asking for it. So many of them I've never met before in some of my projects, Healing for All Just Ask. And they spontaneously get better. So, you know, it can be done. It's just frequency, Stephen. It's just frequency.
Okay, so that's really, really, really interesting.
So, Simon, can you send us some positive vibes here to our listeners and also let our listeners know and how they can find you as well?
Well, absolutely, Aston, absolutely. I'll send positive vibes to everybody. I mean, what I teach people, Aston, I don't rescue anybody, okay? This is not about rescue. This is about entrainment. So you radiate positive energy, love, light, healing with clear intention. So every listener who's listening right now, you know, I'm sending you healing power to help you find what you need to find today, because each of us has a lesson every day, series of challenges. If you're feeling down, if you're listening to this and you're feeling depressed and down, there is a way out.
Yeah.
You know, you can find me on lighttherapyrevolution.com, or just send me an email, info@simonhinton.com, in confidence, and I'll get back to you. And I can add you to my healing list for free healing whenever you want it, or you can come and see me as you wish.
John Avery, she needs some healing.
He does. He does.
It's an honor to have you on. Thank you so much.
Well, you know, it's lovely to be here, and it's lovely to share good energy. I mean, energy is very important. We're living a world, Stephen, where people are very challenged.
Yeah.
People come to me, they're broken, they're scared, they're nervous, they're in fear, they're listening to the mainstream media, they need assistance. What I do is come in and activate them, clear them, and show them that there is a better way. And step up. So I say to all you listeners, step up today. Come on, guys. Be positive. Put a smile on your face. The glass is half full, not half empty. Get out there and have a fabulous, wonderous day.
Thank you.
You deserve it, people.
Come on again.
Simon, we'll have you back on again.
Anytime. I'm always here to help.
Thank you.
Much love.
Thank you.
A lovely day.
Thank you.
I'm full of energy now.